Welcome in to Movin The Chains, brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union. I'm Kevin Thomas alongside John Epps here for our Week 7 preview show. John, last week, a lot of really good ball games across the state. We had extra games of the week. This week, not quite as loaded of a slate, but again, some big region matchups, some big rivalry games, really. Should be a fun week across South Carolina.
Yeah, I think we have a lot of matchups where we feel pretty good about who we think is going to win, but it's matchups against pretty evenly, I think, talent-wise teams and teams where the underdog could certainly win. And you get that with a region play, right? You've got it's supposed to be pretty equal. So I think we got a lot of games that could actually go either way.
For sure. We appreciate you guys tuning in. As always, check us out here on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, etc. at Movin Chains, MOVINCHAINS. MovinChains.com is our website. Our podcast on Apple, Spotify, Google, and more. We do a live preview show Tuesday nights here at 7 o'clock on Facebook and YouTube. It's a lot of fun. So we hope you guys can join in. As always, share this, tell your friends, spread the word. We really appreciate that. We do a recap show comes out on Sundays on our podcast platforms and our Twitter Spaces or X Spaces, whatever you're going to call it, on Friday night. Basically, a live scoreboard show. Go through the games, go through some different callers who know about the ball game. It's a lot of fun to do that as well. And one more time, want to shout out our new merch we got. We got hats, guys. We got some toboggans. We got some hoodies. Get out there, support the boys. Email mtcgear.sc@gmail.com. It's also posted on our social media sites. So have any questions, comment on there, ask us about that. Love to have you guys repping some MTC gear across the state, different ball games, man. It would be really cool to see. But, John, let's start with our CONA games of the week. CONA.care for more info. That's CONA.care, as always, for more info. Our first one, a big 5A matchup here in the upstate. We've got TL Hanna at 6-1, traveling to JL Mann at 6-1. A really big region contest here. In the past couple of years, John, this region's been really TL Hanna and Hillcrest. Whoever wins that ball game is going to win the region. Well, this year, JL Mann is trying to make some noise to get in there as well. TL Hanna 62-7 over Malden last week. JL Mann 56-18 over Woodmont. Both teams seem to be rolling right now. Who do you think wins between the Yellow Jackets and the Patriots?
I like TL Hanna in this ball game, but I think JL Mann's been very, very impressive this season. We talked about them last year at the beginning of the season. They started off pretty high. I think they won their first 4. And then as they got into region play, things kind of leveled out for those guys. The offense was not consistently lighting up the scoreboard. They would every couple of weeks. But now they have, and I don't know if it's just a little more experience they've got on that squad now, but they've been a lot more consistent this year. Their one loss was a tight game against Greenville.
Yep.
Greenville team that we
on
talk
the road
about
too, I think, right?
Every week. Yeah, on the road over there at Serene. Greenville team that we talk about seemingly every week, talking about how much talent they have. So, you really can't hold that too much against them. You look at TL Hanna, their one blemish was against Big Bad West Side.
Yeah.
That's an enigma there, how they lose that game. But Hanna has been very impressive in their own right the rest of the way. They beat the same Greenville team. That was early on the season. They beat a Boiling Springs team that was playing pretty good at the beginning of the year. They're starting to level out possibly. I think Hanna's just a better team in this game. They're a little more, I would say, proven. They've got that good win in that Greenville win. And I think that Boiling Springs win is still a solid win from week 0. I think they're just a little bit better. Now, that game is in Greenville, correct? So that'll be over there behind the electric, what do they call it? The electric mile, the motor mile.
Motor mile over there.
Electric mile might be, that's TL Hanna. Motor mile on Lawrence Road here in Greenville. I like Hanna in this ball game. If they can do what they want to do, they can control the football with that offense, running the ball predominantly, control the game a bit. And that would be big in limiting that high-power Patriot offense, how many touches they get on the football. So if they can take some air out of the ball, shorten the game a little bit, that really goes a long way for the Yellow Jackets and win this game too.
TL Hanna last week, running back Katie Patterson, 95 yards, 2 touchdowns. Bashawn Burton and Wills Epps also running the ball for them. Quarterback Eli Hollinger, Dalen Williams leading that defense there. On the JL Mann side, quarterback Ethan Anderson putting up big numbers each week. Wide receivers Michael McClellan, Keyshawn Henderson, Obadiah Jones. You got Nikias Morrison last week, had 18 carries, a $184, 3 touchdowns. We talk about the JL Mann offense so much, John, and how much they're, explosive and how many players they've got. But that defense is only giving up 9 points per game, led by guys like Jakari Bennett and Jaden Rice. They're good on both sides of the ball. I think the key here for this one, you mentioned it, TL Hanna is going to try to run the clock, control possession, things like that. JL Mann's got to make sure they stay at a good level, don't get frustrated, because, it can happen where you go 3 and out if you're JL Mann. TL Hanna has a 7, 8, 9-minute drive. You can't get the ball back. You do get it back, and you go 3 and out or whatever, short position again. It can really mess with your head a little bit. So you got to stay focused, stay confident with that ball game. And the key, I think, is like just staying at a good level there. And then if you're JL Mann, have you learned how to win yet? Like you said, you mentioned TL Hanna's a proven team. They've been there, played for state titles a few years back with Zach Pickens and those guys. Always make a deep run of the playoffs, no matter who's there for Coach Tone and the squad. JL Mann, Coach Watson, they're on the ascend. They're playing better and better and better. I think they can win this ball game, but it will be tough for sure. But I think this might be the week where JL Mann announces that, hey, we are for real.
Yeah, if they win, they certainly will do that. And I think what's important too for JL Mann, you talk about, hey, have they learned how to win yet? Have this be a game, on the backside of the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
If TLA has that 6-7 minute drive where they go 75 yards and they score a touchdown, that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
The next drive, they may go 60 yards and then turn it over.
Yeah.
Understand that they're going to get their yards. They're going to have, they may control the time possession, and that's fine. But also, a false start can really put them behind the chains.
Mm-hmm.
If you win the turnover battle, that's going to be a really, really big deal too. That's going to be important for the Patriots in this game, and for TL Hanna too.
Yep.
You don't want to give JL Mann any extra possessions as well. But yeah, I think just kind of weathering the storm a little bit and just knowing who TL Hanna is, and don't think you're going to go in there and beat them like you beat Woodmont last week.
Yep.
And I don't think that they will think that. I don't think they'll have that mindset. But if you get into like in the fourth quarter, and this is a 21-17 ball game, hey. I think that bodes well for JL Mann, because you talk about explosiveness. JL Mann has, I put the green check by them in the explosiveness category.
Yeah.
Over TL Hanna, if you need a big play to win the game, that bodes well for the Patriots in this one. Should be an exciting ball game. Some contrasting offensive schemes, and you got a TL Hanna team that's established, as you said,
yep,
and JL Mann team that's trying to really put themselves on the map. They cracked the media top 10 poll this week, so they did get some respect there. We'll see how they fared in our poll, even though we only did the top 5.
Yep.
We'll see how they fare in that one later here in the show.
Like I said, this could be a program-defining win for JL Mann. Coach Watson getting and going in the right direction, like I said, but they don't have that big win yet. This might be it this week. But, Drill, any comments from the crowd here on this TL Hanna and JL Mann matchup before we move on to our next CONA game of the week?
Only one pertaining to the actual game, but
I'll tell you what, Zach, I'm going with you too, man. I think the Patriots have a really good chance to win this ball game. It should be a great one on Friday night here in Greenville.
We're got to shout out the people though before you get going.
For sure. Zach, you do some big ones, man, for sure. We know where you'll be. ETP out those Rebels. Big win for Burns last week. Chris, good to see you, man. As always, appreciate you being in here. It is region time. Exactly right, man. Everything counts. Derek, appreciate you, man. Glad to have you in here as always. ETP, you're right. You said Burns got the best team. They did, man. 2 defensive touchdowns. That was huge last week for those guys. Terrence, good to see you, my man. Zach, week 7, man. I was talking, to a buddy earlier. I was like, the season is over halfway over already, man. It's wild. But Derek, good to have you in here as well, man. Appreciate you as always. Derek said Lakeview kind of had their way. Yep, big win for the Wild Gators, man. You guys are playing great football. Lost that week 0 game to Marion, but we're rolling since then. Bradley, appreciate you being in here as always, buddy, as well. Jake, glad to have you in here.
All right, guys, let's keep rolling.
Perfect. Let's go with our second CONA game of the week. A 5A matchup here. On most years, John, this wouldn't be a game of the week because you think who's going to win this game. You think who's going to win it big. This year might be a different story, and that is Dutch Fork, who's only 2-4, traveling to White Knoll, who's sitting at 6-0 right now. The Silver Foxes had a bye last week. We've documented their troubles. They can't get it going on offense. Feels like they've had some injuries on that side of the ball. They played a super tough schedule. But like we saw in the comment earlier, like we said last week, John, it's region time now. none of that matters. You'll wipe the slate clean. They're 0-0 in region play. They got quarterback Ethan Offing, running back Maurice Anderson, wide receiver Jacob Hamilton there. Defensively led by Tyler Jones. Also got Sessions and Winsley over there for those guys. White Knoll, they defeated River Bluff 40-0 last week, averaging 49 points per game on offense, only 6 per game on defense allowed there for them. Quarterback Landon Sharp has 1,300 yards and 15 touchdowns. Running back Tyon Fanning, Henderson and Lee out wide. And then some really good defensive players with Kimball, Dominic, and Banks on that side of the ball there for Coach Pelham. Coach Pelham is a Tom Knott's disciple. Coached with him there for a while. The Silver Foxes, John. I mean, it's hard to say this because we thought going into the year that it was going to be Dutch Fork. Is it still the case there in that region, or can White Knoll, prove that they are legit and really take a huge step towards winning this region here in this ballgame?
Yeah, I think this is Lexington's going to have something to say about before it's all said and done within this region. But I think this is probably, in my opinion, the two best teams in the region.
I agree.
Off Friday night. And, what's awesome about White Knoll this year, they're another team where they've kind of, and no fault of theirs, but they've skated through, non-region play. They've only had one game, Carleton County, where they gave up more than one score in the game. They gave up 15. Defense playing at a high level throughout the season, and to do that every week is impressive. Shut out River Bluff last week 40-0. River Bluff's not as good as I thought they would be this year, but anytime you shut out a regional opponent, that's a pretty big deal in my book. I think Dutch Fork is still the favorite in this ball game. I think both teams come into this game with defenses that are better than their offense. Yeah, I know White Knoll's put up some points, but you got to look at that schedule and take that into account too. I see this being a very, very low scoring ball game. I think if either team gets in the 20s, they win the game. I don't know that either one does, but I think I just trust Dutch Fork a little bit more. And to put it in perspective, you look at Dutch Fork's record and go, man, they've lost a bunch of games. They've only lost one game in state.
Yeah,
that was exactly Spartanburg early on. A Spartanburg team that I still think very highly of. Burns got the best of them last week. That was an incredible win for Burns. But I think Dutch Fork might be a step ahead of them here, but I think it might only be a step. I think this could be another game where we're looking, where we are Friday, looking toward the end of the fourth quarter going, oh boy, anybody can win this ball game.
Exactly right. And I've been high on White Knoll the past 2 years. I like the Sharp kid at quarterback. I'll say, and maybe Sharpie. I need someone to tell me, is it Sharp? Is it Sharpie? I don't know. All I know is he's a stud. I know Landon can throw the ball. I know that. Offense under Coach Pelham has been lights out the past 2 years, man. It's hard to pick against Dutch Fork, and it's hard to get a really good read on them, I feel like, too, because of their schedule.
Yeah.
And how many out-of-state teams they played. I can't believe I'm doing this, but I kind of want to pick against Dutch Fork. I don't think I've ever done it in the history of this program. Maybe a state title game here or there. I don't know. But I like what White Knoll's doing, man. I think it's going to be a low-scoring ball game. The fact that they're at home, I'm going to go White Knoll in a close one at home, maybe like 24-21, 20-17. I think the Timberwolves sneak one out there in this ball game.
I'm thinking like 17-10 Dutch Fork.
The defense is legit. The defense has been good all year long. Like I said, Jones and those guys has been doing a great job there. They have a fantastic defense. Just haven't been able to score a lot. So we'll see how it goes.
It might be
this week.
It might be which defense scores more.
Yeah,
because that can make the difference in this game here.
Exactly right. But that will be a fun one for sure on Friday night.
White Knoll will be feasting on Dutch Fork, Zach says. Boy, that would be that'll turn some heads around the state.
If they blow them out,
that would be cool. I guess I shouldn't say cool. That would be crazy.
That would be wild.
Dutch Fork by 21. I tell you what, if they win by 21, it might be 21-0.
Yeah, I think you're right,
Bradley.
I think Dutch Fork still has something for everybody. Just maybe hadn't shown it yet, but we'll see how it goes when we get into region play, and we'll see obviously starting this Friday night. Any other comments, Jarrell, on that ball game, or anybody else we need to say hey to before we keep rolling?
Got Patrick in here, wants to say hey.
Patrick, good to see you, man. Big game for Daphne this week. I'll come off that bye week for sure. Anybody else, Jarrell?
That's it for right now. But once we get into 5A, let's we got to talk about Somerville a little bit. So just
we will do it. We will do it for sure. All right, let's look at now at our next CONA game of the week. A big 4A matchup here. The two teams have combined for one loss, John. And that's Irmo, 6-0, traveling to Ridgeview, who's at 6-1. Irmo steamrolled R&E 63-8 last week. Ridgeview 27 over Lugoff Elgin. And I was saying this earlier, Jarrell, you and I, maybe the only people who have seen both these teams play this year. We've seen them both in person, so I got a pretty good read on this one. We'll see. But Irmo, like I said, smoking everybody. 50 points per game on offense, 8 points per game on defense, John. Quarterback A.J. Brand, 1,300 yards, 21 touchdowns passing. Last week had 2 passing, 2 rushing for him. Running back Jaden Allen Hendricks, 133 yards, 4 touchdowns last week. Wide receiver Donovan Murph. They are big and physical, and the defense will get after you. They're playing great on both sides of the ball there. Ridgeview quarterback Braylon Boyd is back from injury. Went 24 for 43, 228, 2 touchdowns last week. Running back Aiden Keefe. Wide receiver Jordan Gidron had 2 touchdowns last week. He's a big-time playmaker for those guys. Also, Sia Mack and Carter Coleman out wide. Defensively led by Brown and Matthews, who had 3 sacks last week. I'm leaning Irmo here, John, because what I saw when I saw Ridgeview play Sumter, and I saw a defensive line get after him and get after Boyd and get after the Blazers offensively. And they struggled up front. And when Boyd was pressured, he struggled. And when I saw Irmo play Hartsville, that defensive line will get after you. They got some big guys. They will cause problems back there. I think the Irmo defensive line is going to pressure Ridgeview all night. I think Irmo has a real chance to win this game by a couple scores.
Yeah, it seems like the strength for Ridgeview, and you and Jarrell know this better than I do. It seems like it's that passing attack that the Blazers have. But if Irmo can put pressure on the quarterback and really diminish that passing game a little bit, that seems like that would go a really long way in this game. And I'm very, very high on Irmo.
Yeah.
I got to see Hartsville last week play. There's some things for Hartsville that are a little bit negative that go against them. I think their size is something that they're going to have to battle. Sounds like Irmo took advantage of that in that ball game. But still, the fact that they won that game by 2 scores to me was very, very impressive. And I know Hartsville was not 100% in that ball game, but that says a lot about this Yellow Jacket team. They were solid last year, but they weren't quite over that hump of being, a dangerous contender, late in the playoffs. This year, I think they are.
Yep.
I think Ridgeview's a very good team. They're going to be at home. Expect a good crowd over there at Ridgeview High for that game. But I think Irmo's a little bit better. They got the running back. They got Brand at quarterback. I think they got a lot of talent. I think the ceiling is very high for this Irmo team this year. And I think this would be a big win for them to win this game. This is another one that's, this region, Irmo, you look at Irmo and you think, okay, they're the best team in this region. But, this Ridgeview game, it's got to be the toughest game on the region slate for them this year.
Probably
with
so.
The floor a little bit down. But what scares me too with Ridgeview is, last week, and maybe they were looking ahead. Maybe, it's kind of an off week. But, we pick on Lugoff Elgin a lot. Beating those guys 28-7 doesn't do anything for me. That's low scoring for a team that's given up a lot of points this year. So I like Irmo in this ball game.
Yeah, and then, also when we saw Ridgeview play Sumter, the Gamecocks ran all over them. And that is what Irmo wants to do with Jaden Allen Hendricks. He's putting up 100-plus, 150-plus each week. Big, physical, strong. And if you stop him, you got A.J. Brand who can run it or throw it as well. A big D1 prospect there. I think Irmo wins this ball game. I like what Coach Brand and the guys are doing there. I like Irmo in this one, Joe. Any comments on that ball game? Jay said he's going with Irmo as well. He's got Irmo 42-21. I don't know if it'll be that bad. We'll see. But I think the Yellow Jackets win it.
Yeah, I think the talent. I don't think the talent gap is too far. But I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they won by 2 or 3 scores.
Yeah.
I don't know that they will, but I certainly see Irmo winning it 42-21 before I see Ridgeview winning it by that kind of score.
We got Zach taking shots.
Oh, wow. Hey, Ridgeview's been pretty good at both lately. I'll give them that, man. They've been basketball and football lately, but
they were basketball first, I think. But they're pretty
Caleb,
tough.
Appreciate you being in here, Caleb, as always, man. Appreciate you hopping in with us.
Let's head on to our next game, guys.
Perfect. We've got our 4th CONA game of the week. A big-time matchup here, John. You and Jarrell saw this one in person last year. We got Saluda traveling to the Peach Fields to take on Strom Thurmond. The Tigers at 5-1. The Rebels at 4-2. Saluda last week 42-13 over Pillion. Strom Thurmond 44-14 over Batesburg Leesville. Saluda led by quarterback Drew Arant, running back Kenmaine Brunson, wide receivers Josh Ular and Victavis Gaines. I like JT Lott a lot. He's kind of a tight end hybrid H-back guy there. And then obviously Strom Thurmond. Quan Edmond last week, 11 for 14, 258, 2 touchdowns. Running back Chris Barnes, 2 stud wide receivers. Braylon Staley last week went 3 for 120 and a touchdown. Demarius Tolan's out there. You also got Juju Stevens there for those guys. Defensively led by Stevens and Phillips and Smith and Blocker. This is a big time 2A matchup, man. A key region battle here early. Last year we saw it, 6-3. 6-3 was the final there.
A buzzer beater field goal.
I think we might see more points this week, guys. Who do you like here, John?
Gosh, I like both of them. I think they're both really
tie. No.
They're both really good teams,
Yeah,
and they both have a similar DNA. They're both physical. They're both big. You know, that team that we saw last year from Strom Thurmond, a lot of those guys are back. You know, they are. That's a tough. I mean, both of these teams are going to come out of this game and they're going to be sore. You know, this is going to be a hard hitting physical matchup. And you know, last year we saw a lot of turnovers in this ball game. It was a little bit sloppy. You know, and it could come down where they're both pretty evenly matched. I think if one team or the other makes a critical mistake, if you make a big mistake in special teams, special teams won the game last year with a field goal. You know, I think it was just over a 30-yarder, maybe, Jarrell, which not necessarily a chip shot. You know, you had to get a good boot on it. But you know, special teams won the game last year for Strom. I think I trust Saluda a little bit more in this game, just from. They're super talented. Yeah. You know, we saw them playing Gilbert a couple weeks ago, and, you know, really until the second half, a couple things didn't go their way and, you know, things started to turn. But, you know, I don't know that Gilbert's much better than they are. And Gilbert's a very, very good 3A team. I like Saluda in this ball game. I think they've been tested just a little bit more than Strom has to this point. I think that gives them maybe a tiny bit of an edge. But, I mean, this is kind of a coin flip for me. I'm going to go Saluda. I've seen them in person. That helps me, I guess. Playing, I thought they played. I take away that score. I know they lost, you know, like 49-27, but they were very competitive in that ball game with Gilbert, and that said a lot to me. And they're tough, they're physical, but so is Strom. I like Saluda.
I think it's a very even game. I mean, honestly, you know, we watched that Saluda game a couple weeks ago. They did have some problems in pass coverage at times, and you know, losing a couple guys out of the backfield a few times as well. Yeah. I'm sure Coach Webb, you know, has watched that tape there, and with the studs they got, you know, with Tolan and Staley, they're going to find somebody to get those guys involved in the pass game for sure. It's always a fun dynamic because you got to remember Andrew Webb, head coach at Strom Thurmond, was the OC under Coach Stuart Young at Saluda for that state title winner a couple years back. So they know each other really well. They know, you know, what each other's going to do. I tend to lean towards Strom because they're at home. Tough place to play. Peachfield's, of course, you know, a great venue down there in the CSRA. I'm gonna go Strom at home. I think they win this ball game, man. I think too much explosiveness, maybe a big play out of Staley or Tolan. They break a big one, whatever it is. And in a game like this where the teams are so evenly matched, I feel like if you get a explosive play that goes 60, 70 for a touchdown, that could be the difference maker. And,
you know, I do agree with you in that if I had to say who's more explosive than the other, I would probably say Strom.
Yeah.
But, you know, you talk about Lott. You know, he's a good player. He can bust a big play.
Yeah.
We saw the big kickoff return.
Brayden Williams.
You know, he's got some speed. You know, these are about as evenly and similar of teams you can get.
Yeah.
This is going to be an awesome ball game.
I mean, two teams that, you know, could certainly meet up again late in the playoffs because they're going to be that good. You know, it's. I feel like Saluda's probably still a year ahead of schedule. You know, a bunch of young guys. They lost, I think, 30-something seniors last year. Only, I believe, 9 seniors on this year's team. So they've got a bunch of young kids that are kind of getting their feet wet a little bit, I would say. But I'm gonna go Strom at home. Drill.
They might be young, but they're big.
They are. They are. Drill. Any comments on that ball game? I'm sure we got some flowing in here. Bulldogs have Strom by 14. Okay. Braylon Staley going for 150.
That would win it. I think that would win it.
And Tolan going for 100.
That
you got 2 running backs there, 2 receivers over 100. I love it. I love it. Dion says Rebels by 10. Where's the Saluda,
so
folks?
That's 3 Strom, right?
Yeah, Zach says a lot of smack talk. I can imagine, man. 2 schools that are pretty close to each other. I can certainly see them getting after it. Yep, Deion Strong.
They had that's
North
yep.
Augusta, Midland Valley. Yeah, Midland Valley.
That's
They had a good chance in that ball game. North Augusta, they were kind of out of that one, I would say. But yeah, they do have some battle scars for sure. Thurmond didn't have Staley last year, exactly right. Yeah, he's a big time playmaker. The Tennessee commit there at receiver, he's electric. Robert, good seeing you in here, man. Appreciate you as always. Had a good day. Hope you did as well.
Yep, that's it. I don't know where the Saluda fans are in this one. It looks like heavy Strom. That's where we're going, I guess.
Yeah, that's all Strom.
All Strom tonight.
Now I'm getting worried about my pick.
I'm sure they'll pop in here at some point. I'm sure they will, man. But let's take a look now at our next CONA game of the week, our SCISA game of the week. Could be a preview of the 4A state title here, John. Cardinal Newman at 6-0, traveling to Hammond at 5-2. Cardinal Newman 49-0 over John Paul last week. Quarterback Duncan Skehan 10 for 12, 256, 3 touchdowns. Running back Cortez Lane, the Camden transfer, 7 carries, $153, 2 touchdowns. Also 1 reception, 41 yards, and a touchdown on that side as well. Wide receivers Amari King, Tyler Wilson, Dontre Ham. Defensively led by Braxton Rogers. Also Gillens, Furman, and Britt. Hammond 42-10 over Augusta Christian in our game of the week last week for SCISA, John. Running back Manny Johnson, quarterback Andrew Turner, tight end Mike Tyler, Zay Mathis. They are replacing a lot from last year, like we said last week, but 6 consecutive state titles. I mean, they've got a pedigree there, the Skyhawks do.
I think this is the week Cardinal Newman plants the flag is.
Wow.
They're the program.
Wow.
I think the talent they have.
Yeah.
You know, I've seen Cortez Lane play. I know he's a really good player coming over from Camden. And I was worried if Cardinal Newman could just put all the pieces together. And they certainly have. I think they can take care of business this Friday.
You know, year 2 under Coach Corey Helms there for the Cardinals. They are improving. We got a lot of really good players there right now, John. They certainly do. One thing I like for him in that game last week against Augusta Christian, who was a very good football team, held them to negative 11 rushing yards. And I know I like Cortez Lane a lot. He's going to have to get more than negative 11 rush yards to win the ball game. I know that. He's going to need more than that.
We'll have more than that.
That's true. That's true. But the Skehan kid's playing great on offense for them. Rogers is a stud on defense. I'm going to go Hammond because I think they're starting to figure it out here a little bit. But this is going to be a really fun matchup. We will see just how good Cardinal Newman is and if anybody can contend with the Skyhawks this year.
Yeah, and I think this is the answer right here. And even if they lose, I think it's going to be a really, really close, really good ball game.
For sure. Well, Drew, any comments we need to go over about anything else before we move into a little break and then to the next segment of the program? Bulldog says, own Saluda fans. I love it.
There's nobody here from Saluda to say different.
Zach, you should be. Zach says John should be worried.
I am worried now. I am.
Real says leaning Hammond. Yeah, I think so. It's just going to be tough. I mean, it's that pedigree, 6 titles in a row. It's hard to go against that, honestly. Cody, any mention to Gaffney Smart Break? That'll come up here in a second. We're about to get to 5A here in a second, Cody. We'll talk about that one. Anything else, Drill?
Let's go ahead so I don't lose these in the shuffle. Got the Bluff fans.
Big Bad Bluff. Hey, they're
sure.
looking good, man. They're playing. That'll be a fun 2A team as well. Yeah, Louisville is very unreal. You're exactly
Bad
right,
news
Curtis.
to the rest of 1A. They actually are real.
And Dadrian's always repping Louisville, so
love it, man. They gave up 6 last week. What happened, guys? Come on, but
hey, they had an off week.
They still had a big week. Drew, let's give a shout out to some friends of the program here. We'll look at the statewide scoreboard slate.
Take your financial game to the next level with Founders Federal Credit Union. Reach your full potential. Relax. Join Founders today. Visit an office near you or relaxjoinfounders.com to apply. Federally insured by NCUA. Member qualification required.
The George Agency has been serving the insurance needs of South Carolina for over 40 years. They're a full-line insurance agency concentrated in employee benefits and health insurance with an office in Mullins and Murrells Inlet, but they can help you all across the state. They have clients in Greer, Rock Hill, Columbia, and more, so wherever you are, they can help. Give Bradley, Wayne, Richard, and the crew a call or check them out online at thegeorgeagency.net. That's thegeorgeagency.net. Once again, got our merch on sale, guys. Check it out. It's on our Facebook, our Twitter, our Instagram pages. You can email mtcgear.sc@gmail.com for any of your questions. Love to have y'all help us out. Got some good hats, some toboggans, some hoodies. So rep it, support the boys, man. Love to have you guys sporting some gear there. John, let's take a look now, starting at the 5A slate, and then we'll work our way down from there.
Yeah, starting in the Low Country, we'll have Wando at Berkeley. Blytheville will host Nation Ford. Burns at Boiling Springs. Do you think, and maybe this is me, riding that Boiling Springs high that I had earlier in the year, Do you think this could be a little bit of a trap game for the Rebels?
It could be coming off a big win last week over Spartanburg. It could be a look ahead spot because obviously you got, I think, Dorman in a couple weeks, and obviously Gaffney as well.
No chance.
Yeah,
I think they win. I
am a little bit worried that we may have overrated Bowling Springs. Started off really hot. They've had a couple tough weeks now. Burns, I think, is clearly the better team. As long as they just keeping a good headspace, I think the Rebels roll.
I think so too. Just a question. Spring Valley at Clover. Conway will host Carolina Forest. I think you're right, Patrick. Just I don't know. It was in my head. Let's see what everybody else thought about it.
Conway, first win of the season last week. First win for Coach Josh Pierce there for the Tigers. Carolina Forest, a team that I like a lot in 5A. I think they're kind of flying under the radar. Had a couple tough losses. I played Somerville and some other big boys earlier in the season. But yeah, Curtis says they're a dark horse. Played Somerville tough, exactly right. They could be a lot better than what their record is. That they've got some good players there on that squad.
And they find a way, and we don't talk about them enough, I don't think. But, come November in the playoffs, you go, oh, well, we got 4 teams left in Carolina Forest.
Yeah, Coach
one
Morris,
of them usually.
Coach Morris does a great job. That offense always scores points no matter who's at quarterback and whatnot. So there'll be a tough out here in region play. We'll
have it here in the upstate. Malden will be traveling to Dorman. Fort Mill will host Rock Hill. Fort Dorchester goes to Goose Creek.
Interesting here, Fort Dorchester, big win over Astor Ridge last week. Goose Creek surprised me, blew out Berkeley. Did not see that coming. But the Gators, like I think Drell hinted at it last week, we were talking high about Berkeley, and Drell's like, don't forget about Goose Creek last year, lost all their non-region games, ran the slate in the region, started off big region win last week. Could happen again. I don't think so. I think Fort D's a little bit better. I think the Patriots win this ball game.
So it's been a long time since they've lost a region game, is what you're saying.
I believe so.
We talk about this one of our games of the week. TL Hanna goes to JL Mann.
Yep.
River Bluff will host Lexington. St. James at Saluda. Asked about this game earlier. Gaffney going to Spartanburg.
Yeah.
Big time game for this region. A game last week, I thought Spartanburg might get the best of Burns. They did not. Burns won that game. But I think it's going to be a big time test for Gaffney. You like Gaffney to win this game, I think. But this game, they got to make some plays on offense. You got to score a little bit. Very good Vikings defense. This will be an interesting game. And I think, too, Burns fans will really be tuned into this ball game as well to see what kind of fight Spartanburg has for the Indians. Because I think this is going to be a game that I lean Gaffney. I think Gaffney should and will win. But this is going to be, I think this will be a one-score game that, again, another game late in the fourth quarter. I think either team can make a play to win the ball game.
I mean, it's a tough one because if you're Spartanburg, you have to win this ball game to have any chance at even getting a home playoff game in round one. Because if you start off 0-2 with losses to Gaffney and Burns, you're probably getting at best that 3 seed in that region.
You got to run the table out to get 3.
I mean, you really hope that you beat Gaffney and then that Gaffney beats Burns. You get a little round robin, you get the tiebreaker, and you happen to win it. But I think Gaffney's a better football team. Spartanburg, I've said it a lot. The offense worries me. Last week their defense gives up 7 points to Burns, but yet their offense basically gives up 14 to Burns because it looks like they had 2 turnovers that turned into one a fumble recovery for a touchdown and one of them a pick six. Like they can't get it going on offense for Coach Hodge right now. I do think Burns' defense is probably a little better than Gaffney's, but I like them both a lot. I like Gaffney's offense. I think they'll be able to score a few points. I don't think this is like a high-scoring blowout. I'm thinking maybe like a 28-14, 28-10, 21-14 type ball game. I like the Indians here coming off a bye week especially. Came at a good time for them too. They'd had a really tough non-region schedule to get a week off to kind of get back healthy and back in the right good headspace there. I like the Indians to win this ball game. I think Spartanburg is in trouble.
I think this is probably a 10-point game, 7 to 10-point game maybe. But Gaffney can't beat themselves. Know that you're the better team. Know that you got the advantage offensively. But Bradley, you know this. You've been in Gaffney games. They can get penalized. They can make some self-inflicted errors. They don't do that. Know that you just play your game. You don't have to do anything crazy. You don't have to do anything special. Don't turn it over. Patrick, talk about being healthy.
Yep.
That's going to help coming at full strength. So that's really good for the Indians in that one. But yeah, I think hey, just don't try to do too much.
Yeah.
Know who you are, play your game.
Yeah, and Spartanburg obviously being at home, that helps. And it's homecoming too, so probably have a little extra juice there. The Vikings will, but still, I like Gaffney to win this ball game. Until Spartanburg can score some points and show me they can score some points, I'm gonna have a hard time picking them in some big games.
Yeah. Hey, we gotta give credit to Burns though.
Yeah, huge win.
That defense is really, really good too. So hats off to Burns for that win last week. I picked against them, so I have to give them respect, right?
Guess that's how it works. Yeah.
Moving on, we got Cane Bay going to Stratford. Somerville will be hosting RB Stall. They should not have too much trouble in that ball game.
No, yeah. Question from J Law: does Somerville win state in 5A? I don't know. I've got a hard time picking 5A right now because I feel like every team has some flaws. Nobody is like a step ahead of everybody else. Like, some years in the past, we felt like Dutch Fork was, clearly the best team. This year, I feel like there's a lot more parity, honestly. Somerville, I think, Bradley, you're to your point there. Somerville's best teams they play Carolina Forest, who we think is a pretty solid team.
Yeah. And that's a pretty close competitive game from what I remember. I mean, 8-point win,
it was.
win.
It was. They beat Sumter, who we think is a solid team there. They beat Berkeley, who's not great yet on the way up. Obviously, they'll play Fort D here in a few weeks. That will be honestly a true test for the Green Wave there. I think they're very good. I have a hard time saying they're the favorite. I will say the fact they're lower state, I like that a lot for them. Like we said, the one region or the number one seed out of that Dutch Fork White Knoll region goes upper state again. So I think they've got a good chance at lower state to at least get to the final. But am I ready to crown them champs? I don't know about that quite yet.
Yeah, and Bradley, you make a good point. That first game of the year was against Carolina Forest. They won by 7. Since then, I mean, they have just drugged everybody.
Yeah.
Berkeley, we thought was pretty good. They killed them 62-27. Sumter team that is good, maybe not as good as we thought they would be, blew them out 47-10. Goose Creek team, who might be finding themselves now, 2 weeks ago, they doubled them up 40-20. So it's, again, you make a good point. Haven't, really been tested outside of that first game. And they will end their season, that little bit of a rivalry game, Fort Dorchester. But the thing is, for these upstate teams, you can't worry about Somerville right now.
Yeah.
As fans, sure, we can talk about it. It doesn't matter for us, right? But, Somerville will be there late in the year, and they'll have a good chance. They got the best chance, I think, out of anybody in lower state to get to they're going to go to SC State this year, right?
Yep.
To get to Orangeburg. But, all it takes is one good game or one bad game.
There you go.
Once you get there. But
There you go.
it'll be interesting to see how they do, through reach and play, especially that Fort D game will be a big one. And but I don't think we're going to see him get tested this week either.
Yeah, and Patrick, I like that comment. Take back the 90s little Gaffney Somerville state title game. That would be fun to watch to two historic programs for sure.
That would have been, I think that would have been the Big 16 days, wouldn't it?
Had to be. Oh, yeah.
Somerville had to be in the Big 16 at that point.
Yeah.
I would assume Gaffney was too. Moving on, staying in the lower, or going to the lower state now. Cane Bay will be at Stratford. I just said that one. Ashley Ridge going to West Ashley.
Interesting ball game there. Two teams with really good records. I like Ashley Ridge a little better. Explosive playmaker Derek Sally Jr. Big game last week. Not enough to beat Fort D, but had a big game anyway. I think that offense for Ashley Ridge is too much for West Ashley.
Yeah, I agree. And hey, that could be a team to look out for in lower state, depending on how their rest of their region play goes. Another game of the week for us, CONA game of the week, Dutch Fork at White Knoll. Expect this to be a defensive battle. I don't like it when people say struggle. I think this will be a defensive battle. Be interesting to see who wins that ball game. That will be at White Knoll. And then closing out the upstate, Hillcrest at Woodmont. Smaller schedule of games in 5A, a lot of bye weeks this week. So that's why you see a smaller schedule for 5A this week.
Yeah, and if you guys missed our CONA game of the week discussion, you mentioned we've got Dutch Fork and White Knoll in 5A there. That's at the beginning of the show. So if we get done here, you can rewind it and go check out the very beginning and listen to our discussion on that. Any other 5A comments to address before we look down to the 4A slate? ETP, don't know where to keep doubting Burns. Hey, I didn't doubt Burns. I picked the Rebels. I think they win again this week, man. They're a good football team. They're playing great right now.
I'll join you, John. I also picked Spartanburg to win that game, so I'll eat my crow as well. I'll give Burns props.
I just like what Spartanburg did early in the year. They beat Dutch Fork. They had that really, really competitive game with Grayson.
I don't think that game could be more equal. I mean, it was 2 defensive scores. That was the difference. I mean, both offenses put up no points. So there you go.
Hey, if they play again, is that going to happen again? Probably not. Burns should win, but who knows? Thanks, Patrick. I don't know what happened.
I think they blew their chance by losing to Dorman last week. I think they're kind of out of it now. I think they're in a bad spot.
I thought they were going to put Dorman away. I don't know what happened in that one, but appreciate that.
That's all we got. 5A. Let's move on to 4.
All right, looking down at 4A.
We'll have Aiken hosting North Augusta. Midland Valley will be at Airport.
2 good teams here. Midland Valley undefeated still. I think Airport with just 2 losses, I believe. They lost to Irmo. I can't remember who the other squad was there, but really good under Coach Filler in his first year at the helm. I think Midland Valley, a little too much talent. I think Airport still probably a year away from being a real deep contender there. I like the Mustangs. Coach Chapman's doing a great job with that squad.
Good defense over there at Airport. Greenville will be at Berea. Hilton Head goes to Colleton County. Greenwood at Easley. Eastside will go to Greer. Lucy Beckham hosting Bluffton. This is a game I think could be interesting. Lucy Beckham in this ball game, but Bluffton, we saw them. They were very competitive with Beaufort a couple weeks ago.
Yep.
They have a very strong second half in that ball game. This is a game that Lucy Beckham's going to have to play a complete game, I think.
They can score some points with quarterback Owen Bays. Lucy Beckham, though, that defense is legit. Probably the best defensive Bluffton's played so far. I like the Bengals. Coach Smith does a great job there. I think they win this one at home.
I think so, too. We'll have James Island going to May River.
James Island keeps rolling. Probably got another team that I want to talk about because they're very good. I just don't know who's going to test them. I mean, they've been lights out all year long. Wishy Ravenel, Braxton Scott, and the boys there. They're doing a great job down there. Coach McCoy is.
Yeah, they're going to be a team that's going to be playing, I think, deep in November as well. We'll have Hartsville going to Myrtle Beach, and this all of a sudden has become a pretty big ball game for that region. Myrtle Beach seems to have found out something. They're playing a lot better football now. The harm for them is they had such a bad game in week 0.
Yeah.
But they have certainly bounced back since then, and they've certainly put that game deep in the rear view for them.
And if you're Hartsville, similar to Spartanburg earlier, I mean, you got to win this game to have a really, lock in a home playoff spot here. If you fall to 0-2 in the region, it's going to be tough to bounce back from that and to get a game over there in Kellytown. But Myrtle Beach, big win last week, with the Hail Mary at the end, just unreal. You wonder how much energy that takes out of them. We'll see. Tank says Hartsville bounces back this week. Secret weapon at running back. Interesting to hear that. Obviously, Carmelo McDaniel, prayers to him. Big injury in the game Friday. I know he's out of the hospital now. I don't know how well he's doing. Hopefully he gets better soon. Great to have McKendry Douglas back. They got some playmakers out. Hakeem Waters is a stud at running back as well.
Yeah. Maybe
somebody new coming in per Tank there. Myrtle Beach playing great football. At home, I like what they're doing under Coach Wilson. But I will say I thought they were going to win that game handily against West last week, and they didn't. That kind of squares me a little bit. But should be a fun 4A matchup.
Yeah, I think this will be a good ball game. I like Hartsville to win this one, though. I think they're still, even being down Carmelo McDaniel, I still think they win this ball game. As you said earlier, they got a ton of talent in that backfield. Yeah. We'll see Indian go Northwestern. West Side goes to Pickens. AC Floor at Richland Northeast. One of our CONA games of the week over in Blythewood. Irmo will be at Ridgeview. Lawrence goes to Riverside. South Point will host Lancaster. North Myrtle Beach will go to West Florence. That could be a game where the winner goes to the playoff, loser stays home.
Yeah. I think those three, and then, Wilson, obviously there kind of is the back end of that region too. I feel like but that's a big one for sure. If you win that one, you're in a good spot.
Lugoff Elgin will go to Westwood. Wilson will host South Florence, and Catawba Ridge goes to York.
Yeah, York playing a football team we had talked a lot about as well. They've been good since early in the year. Catawba Ridge down this year from last year's squad. I like what the Cougars are doing. Yeah.
York's been a team that's kind of flown under the radar a little bit, or at least under my radar.
For sure. For sure. Any 4A comments, Jarrell? Dion says Midland Valley about 40. North Augusta about 50. Airport really aching. Let's like Prozac. Yeah, that's true. That is true. Like I said, I think they're winning ball games. How good they are, I don't think they're quite there yet. We'll see.
Airport barely
Tank says Demarion Coe can play some running back. Okay, so Coe is an athletic playmaker. usually a safety there. Kick returner had a big return in the Irmo game that we saw there. He is a speedster for sure. It'd be fun to have him back there. Chris says Northwestern rolls big time. I agree.
I think so.
Also says Irmo rolls handily. I think they win by that ball game, a couple scores as well. Anything else, Trailer? Any comments from you on 4A?
Let's roll to 3A, fellas.
Perfect. Look at the 3A slate now, John.
Dylan will go to Ainer.
Dylan continues to roll, man. Ainer is the one team that tends to, maybe not tends to, but sometimes gives them problems in regions because of the offense they play. Ainer's not a bad football team this year under Coach Allen. I think Dylan's a different level. I think the Wildcats continue to roll.
I think Dylan wins too. Loris gave them a little bit more trouble than I thought they would, though, last week. That Dylan offense was not quite firing on all cylinders. Had a little bit of trouble up front from what I understand. At times, still won the ball game by multiple scores. Battery Creek will be at Beaufort. Palmetto goes to Belton Honeypath. Broome at Blue Ridge. Darlington goes to Camden. Union will be at Chester. Growing up in Chester for a few years, it's odd to see a Chester Union game where you think, wow, Chester's probably going to blow them out. That's that did not used to happen
how it
in the
used
90s.
to be. That's right.
Walhalla will be at Crescent. Crestwood hosting Marlborough County. Orangeburg-Wilkinson goes to Dreer. Emerald hosting Woodruff. Powdersville will go to Fountain Inn. North Charleston is at Hanahan. Lakewood hosting Lake City. Loris will be at home against Waccamaw. Lower Richland hosting Brooklyn Casey. Manning will host Georgetown. Pendleton going to Seneca.
Could see some points in that one, John.
I like Pendleton in this ball game.
I do too. They're putting up 50, 60 plus each week. I felt even in a loss, a couple weeks ago, I think they scored 42 in a loss. They are scoring kind of at will. Seneca plays good football, had a couple kind of odd losses there. Wren beat them pretty handily. I think Pendleton wins this game too.
Speaking of Wren, they will be at Southside Friday. Gilbert goes to Swansea. Travelers Rest hosting Carolina. And Daniel will go to West Oak.
West Oak's been a fun story this year. They've won some ball games. Daniel, name your score this week, man. It's gonna be bad for West Oak and the Warriors. Drew, any 3A comments? Beaufort wins as many as they want.
Chris is counting on them being upset.
Yeah. Chester wins by 60. Exactly. Yeah, Union is not good, man.
Yeah, Chris, they've been bad for a while, too.
Curtis, good point on Manning. They're a good football team. They got some players there. The Monarchs are solid under Reggie Kennedy. Chris says Daniel bet to Columbia. That'll be fun. 3A, obviously Upper State. You're gonna have BHP as well. So we'll see how that goes.
They need to go through Columbia and go to Orangeburg. But yes, I got what you're saying.
Derek says Powdersville boys are struggling. Hopefully, better week. Yeah, it's been a tough year so far, Derek. But you still got plenty of time to turn around.
Yeah, they'll get back on track.
And you play tough early in that BHP game. Had some good defensive plays and whatnot. You had a real chance early on. So I like some of the improvement we're seeing out of Coach Muster's squad. But
and BHP is good.
Yeah,
BHP
for sure.
is really, really good.
For sure. Long season still to go.
Last one.
Whoa, Chris says BHP will end up choking. Interesting.
All right.
Bookmark that, Bears fans. To clarify, John and I didn't say that. We were just reading the comment.
You said it. I heard you say
it. Let's go to 2A, guys.
Looking down at the 2A slate now, John.
Starting off, Chesney will go to Abbeville. I don't know. Are they going to play this game Friday? Because I know Chesney and Landry just played
last night.
Maybe it was last night they played.
I believe so. I think with the way the rules are now, I think they can play on Friday. I think as long as you have whatever the days in between. I'm pretty sure you can play on Friday, play on Monday, I believe.
Okay. Academic Magnet, they will be hosting Timberland. Andrew Jackson will host Chesterfield. Mullins goes to Andrews. Lake Marion at Bishop England. Blacksburg hosting Liberty. Central of Pageland will be hosting Sherrall. Keenan at Columbia. Fox Creek hosting Peelian. Gray, I don't think they're playing this week. They were supposed to have that big-time game with Fairfield Central this week. Unfortunately, that game will not happen.
Yeah, Gray will be down at Clearwater Academy International down in Florida this week for a ball game.
So I assume Fairfield Central is having the week off then.
Yes.
Game. Edisto will go to Hampton County. Marion is at Kingstree.
Some good athletes in that ball game. Marion, big win over Andrews last week, who we think is probably the second best team in that region. Big win for the Swamp Foxes there. Will be a fun one. And then I do want to mention Hampton County for a second. A team that's played really good in 2A. Hadn't talked a lot about them. Their one loss to Brooklyn Casey a couple weeks ago. Still playing great under Coach Hanna. That first year for that squad. The Hurricanes are playing really good football with Zion Dobson there at running back.
And they were competitive in that game against a bigger BC team. Mid-Carolina will be at Newberry. Landrum goes to 96. Let's talk about Landrum coming off a little bit of a short week too.
96 playing great football under Coach Bennett. They're rolling, winning a lot of ball. I think they've got one loss right now. I believe it was to Saluda. I think they're 5 or 6-1 at this point. And
they could be. I'm not sure. I'm trying to think who all is in that region. They could have a really good chance at winning that region this year. Off the top of your head?
I think they may be in that Abbeville region.
Okay.
I'm not sure exactly. About to double check.
Buford will be at North Central. Batesburg Leesville goes to Silver Bluff. One of our CONA games of the week, Strom Thurmond hosting Saluda over in Johnston. That's going to be an awesome, awesome ball game. I don't think we have to tell anybody in the area that's going on.
Yeah,
I think that is front and center already. And then to wrap up 2A, Ridgeland Hardyville will be at Woodland.
I do want to say, if you're Silver Bluff, don't overlook Batesburg Leesville. I believe they have Saluda on the schedule next week. So a little bit of a look-ahead spot there for Coach Bryant's squad. Batesburg has some talent. Just don't take them lightly. I think Silver Bluff, better team by far, wins the ball game, but just keep your head in the game. Bulldogs should roll.
I think they'll be fine. I think they'll be fine.
Perfect. Any 2A comments? 96 in the region with Blacksburg. Okay, that's right. Okay. Yeah, and they beat Blacksburg last week, I believe, so they're kind of in the driver's seat there. Dion says Bluff by 21. They got a talent to do it for sure, Dion. Saluda by 7.
All right,
there you go.
One more
And Ruddy, if you missed it, we broke down that game early in the show. Check that out when we get done. It's back at the beginning. It's one of our CONA games of the week. Chris says, can Chesney rally the team community after the tragedy and shock the world, beat Abbeville? Chesney's not a bad football team. They've got some players over there. I think Abbeville is going to be a tough matchup for them. The Panthers, it's region time. It's time for them to start getting figured out, playing a little bit better football. I think Abbeville wins that one.
Yeah, it would be a great story. But
certainly thoughts and prayers at Chesney community. A tough situation over there for those guys, and hopefully the community can kind of rally and get through it together.
Yeah, and hats off to Landrum too. Sound like they did a really good job at that game to honor Chesney as well.
Perfect. Looking down to the 1A slate now, John.
Bethune-Bowman will go to Allendale-Fairfax. McCormick goes to Asheville Christian. I believe this is the same Asheville Christian that Southside played early in the year.
I think so.
A really good Asheville Christian team. They played for their state championship.
Yeah, I believe Southside Christian, and I think maybe Ben Lippin as well may have played them. So I know we've played a couple South Carolina schools already.
Branchville will go to Banbury Earhart.
That's a fun game. That Branchville's not a bad 1A team. They've got some good wins this year. Bamberg, I think, is getting better and better. They played a solid Ben Lippin team of 4A SCISA school last week. Had a little bit of trouble early in the ball game. Were to pull away late. Had too much depth and size. They got some big boys, physical boys. The quarterback Chanston Crosby, a Georgia State commit now as an athlete. A lot of starters back for Coach Crosby's squad there. I think Bamberg wins this one, but Branchville is a team that could make some noise in 1A.
And I tell you what, that being a Georgia State commit, I believe that's getting more cachet.
That team, they've got some good players there, man. Coach Elliott's doing a good job with that squad. I feel like they're on TV all the time.
Yeah.
Play a lot of Thursday and Friday games. Yeah, play a lot of weekday ball games, but they're on my screen a ton, it feels like.
Yeah, that's if you're not already aware, that's Coach Sean Elliott, Georgia State, a Camden high school grad, also a former Gamecock as well. So good to see him having success over at Georgia State. A lot of South Carolina players on that roster too. So I like to see them do well. We'll see Rich Spring Monetta go to Blackville Hilda, a Blackville Hilda team I'm very high on.
Blava playing well, man. The Fighting Hawks are getting done. They've been fun to follow.
St. John's will go to Burke. Calhoun Falls hosting Southside Christian. Christ Church will host Ware Shoals. Calhoun County goes to Denmark Olar. C.A. Johnson at Great Falls.
So both of those games, first off, Calhoun County, Denmark Olar, that's a big matchup there. Denmark Olar obviously had a huge win over Bamberg early in the year. Fallen off a little bit since then, had a couple weird losses, but they've got some playmakers. Obviously, the Hinton kids there are studs. Calhoun County, surprising loss to HKT 2 weeks ago. Christian Zachary, the star receiver, he actually just decommitted from Virginia this week, but he's got some. I think he got an offer from NC State already, a couple other schools, so I'm sure he will end up in a solid program there. That's a could see a lot of points in that one, John. I'm going to go Calhoun County in a close one. I've been a little disappointed with Denmark Olar the last couple of weeks. I think Calhoun County and the Saints win this ball game.
I think so too. I think I got a little high, maybe too high on Denmark Ola earlier in the year.
Same. I mean, it's hard not to. When you beat Bamberg, that's a statement win no matter what year it is.
And Bamberg Air is good.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm big on Hunter County Tyler. I thought that was I don't blame Calhoun County for that loss. So they're a good team as well. C.A. Johnson goes to Great Falls. Lamar will be at Green Sea Floyd's.
C.A. Johnson, Caleb Pearson, one of our players of the week, is a stud there. Had a good game last week, just Louisville too tough, of course. And then Lamar, huge win over Latta last week, a Latta team that was undefeated. Silver Fox is looking great. Like I said, the quarterback is back. Tavis Dolford's playing good. Coach Burris has those guys rolling. They are going to be a tough out in 1A lower state. Don't care what their record is. They are a good football team.
Yeah. That was an impressive win. I think that said a lot about Latta last week too. That was very low, 14-7, I think, ball game. So another one where one play made the game there. Carter's Bay will go to Hemingway.
Hemingway still on double-digit point watch, still sitting at 8 points on the season. They might get to 10 this week. I hope they score a touchdown, break that 10-point barrier. Tough season for the Tigers.
We'll see. Wilson Elko will be at Hunter County Tyler. Latta tries to get back on track. They'll host Hannah Pamplico. Whitmire goes to McBee. Military Magnet hosting Baptist Hill. Johnsonville goes to Scotch Branch. And Dixie will be at St. Joseph's.
Jarrell, any 1A comments before we look at the next slate?
Let me go back to 2A real quick before.
1A here. Dadrian says, C.A. Johnson did a good job of clock managing the play clock. Coach standing on the field. Scored 6, caught us sleeping. 43 yards rushing for Pearson. So, not a huge game, but against Louisville, it was actually a pretty good game for what that defense has done lately. Yeah. And they had a 6-0 lead. Crazy to see. Terrence said Denmark on the bounce back.
Okay.
Got a good chance this week, so they're injured. Not sure who's back. I don't know, Terrence, you know better than I do. But the Vikings, if they're healthy, they will be a tough out for sure. Dion says Calhoun County 38-35. That will be an exciting ball game there.
That.
Curtis is
that will be a fun one.
Yeah, always a fun rivalry game, Latta and Lakeview, man. Little extra stakes this year, because those two teams are probably playing for a home playoff spot. The winner of that one probably gets a home game. Loser probably doesn't. So big game next week down there.
And both of those teams, no matter where they sort out in the region, they're going to have some high hopes going into the playoffs too.
Yep.
Those are all the 1A comments right now, guys.
Perfect. If anything else pops up, feel free to throw it in. Looking through the SCISA slate right quick, we've got Hilton Head Prep traveling to John Paul II, GSIC going to Northside Christian, Richard Wynn going to Faith Christian. 2 good 8-man squads there. I like what Drew Spires is doing there for Richard Wynn. I'm going to go with that squad. Carolina at Greenwood Christian. We mentioned it one of our CONA games week. Cardinal Newman at Hammond. If you guys missed that one, it's the beginning of the show. Go check it out when we get done here. Andrew Jackson traveling to Oak Brook Prep. Camden Military at Heathwood Hall. Clarendon Hall across Episcopal. Lawrence at Conway. Ben Lippin at Trinity Collegiate, big 4A game there. Dillon Christian at Kings. Porter Gout at Lawrence Manning, another big 4A matchup this week. Northwood at First Baptist. Newberry at HTCC. Williamsburg at Beaufort. Winner of that will be number 1 in 2A, it feels like there. Calhoun County at Lee Academy. Patrick Henry at Dorchester. Jefferson Davis at Wardlaw. Hilton Head Christian at Thomas Hayward. A tough one here. Wilson Hall traveling to PD Academy. Golden Eagles need a win, but it will be tough against the Barons. Palmetto Christian at Thomas Sumter. Colin Prep at Bethesda. Holly Hill at King. And Florence Christian at Pinewood. And then Spartanburg Christian at Orangeburg Prep rounds out the SCISA slate. Drill, any other questions or comments we have? Whitmire McBee was a good dog fight last year. Yeah, 2 teams that can score some points. Kayshawn Shumpert, one of our players of the week this week, can score the points there for Whitmire. Will be a fun ball game. Marks is that region's toughest to 1A. Yeah, man, a lot of good squads there in that Wagner Sally region for sure. Kevin says, great collegiate war Eagles. Yeah, automatic region champs. That's exactly right, man. I'm glad to be able to get some football games to play some squads. That's been fun. Chris says, how does 8-man football work? A lot of space on the field. I believe you usually run out. I think it's there's
3 linemen.
I want to say you got to have a minimum. I think 3 linemen. Most teams go with still I think 5 4 linemen there usually. It just kind of depends. I have not seen a game in a couple weeks. So I forgot or a couple years. I forgot how that works. But yeah, it's fun. A lot of scoring, a lot of points because there's a lot more space out there. It is a fun brand of football to watch, but it is different for sure.
They throw the ball more.
Throw it a lot for sure.
That's all we got right now, guys.
Perfect. Drill. Let's give a quick shout out to some friends of the program. One more time before we do that, though. check out the merch for the boys. We got hats, we got toboggans, we got hoodies and everything. mtcgear.sc@gmail.com. Send us an email with any questions. We got pictures posted on our Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, etc. Check us out there. But Drill, let's give a shout out to some friends of the program.
Take your financial game to the next level with Founders Federal Credit Union. Reach your full potential. Relax. Join Founders today. Visit an office near you or relaxjoinfounders.com to apply. Federally insured by NCUA, member qualification required.
Carolina Orthopedic and Neurosurgical Associates, CONA, offers the most advanced training and experience in orthopedic surgery, neurosurgery, sports medicine, and pain management in the upstate. 3 convenient locations in Spartanburg, Duncan, and Greenville. Go to CONA.care to learn more.
One more. I do want to follow up, Chris. I totally blanked on that. So basically, most teams have a center, 2 guards, and they'll put a tight end or something like that. But you got to have 5 guys on the line instead of the 7 like it is now. So you see a lot more space, but it is a fun thing to watch. If you ever get a chance to watch one, do it just to say you did. But it is interesting for sure. But Jarrell and John, always we started doing our poll the last couple of weeks. I like to say we do a pretty good job. I feel like because we try to cover the whole state. Drill and John, you want to start with the lower classes or the bigger classes this week?
Let's do lower.
All right, Drill. Let's look at some 1, 2, and 3A polls. Starting now in 1A. Louisville, still getting all 3 first-place votes. Second place, Southside Christian. Third, Bamberg-Earhart. Fourth, Christ Church. Tied for 5th, Blackfield, Hilda, and Whale Branch. 1A, guys, like we've been saying, very, very deep. Tons of teams that could have been there all outside, like Denmark Olar could make a case. Lamar, of course. Latta, of course, could all be on there. But Louisville has just been so impressive. It's hard not to get him at that one spot.
Yeah, I think they're head and shoulders number 1. And then once you get past, really, you can say the rest of the top 5, you kind of shuffle around a little bit.
For sure. In 2A, Gray Collegiate still stays at first place. 3 first-place votes there. Second, Oceanside Collegiate. Third, Abbeville. 4th, Silver Bluff. And 5th, Marion. Also receiving votes, Hampton County and Saluda. Could see some shakeup this week, guys. If Saluda wins big or Strom wins big, they could move in that poll for sure. A lot of good teams in 2A, too. This Marion team, we had them higher a couple weeks ago, had a tough loss to Myrtle Beach. They're still a good football team, of course. Hampton County, same thing, had a tough loss to Brooklyn Casey. A lot of good squads there. Gray is going to be tough to judge because they're playing a bunch of out-of-state schools now. It's going to be hard to see what happens there. But I like what we're doing in 2A. At the 3A ranks now, we got split first-place votes. We got Belton Honeypath in first with 2 first-place votes. Daniel, off of the tie for first, one first-place vote. Tie for third, Dylan Phillip Simmons. 5th, Crestwood. Also receiving votes, Broome and Chapman. 3A was tough for me. I've been high on Phillip Simmons all year long. Big win last week. I had to move up a little bit for sure, I feel like. DHP, big win, of course, over Powdersville. I like what Daniel did. If you remember 2 weeks ago, BHP played Walhalla, gave, I think, 35 points, something like that. Last week, Daniel played them. I think held them to 10 or 14. I like what that Daniel defense is doing as well. We know the offense can score points, as always, but 3A is loaded. Upper State is going to be really fun in that class.
Yeah, and we're not even talking about Clinton in there.
Beaufort still is going to be a good squad. There's a lot of 3A teams that are good.
Yeah.
Drill, any comments on those classes? Terrence says, I know you're on it every week. That Christchurch, Southside Christian, St. Joe region, pretty rough. Also number 3 in that region. Also play. Yeah, exactly. Those 3 teams are all in the same region. They play round robin. Southside Christian's up 1-0 right now, beating St. Joe's. The other guys have not played at this point. Drill, any comments from you on those first 3 polls there?
Oh man, main thing was just 3A, how difficult it is right now. It's like a log jam. We could just interchange those guys. I saw Phillip Simmons play this week against Beaufort. I've been high on those guys, and I've been high on Beaufort. And I know you've been really high on Phillip Simmons, but to see them, they're legit. They're the real deal. They're gonna contend for the lower state championship this year. That was the biggest thing that I noticed this week in 3A. Perfect.
Let's look now at the 4A and 5A polls in 4A. Northwestern still in first place. All 3 first place votes from us. 2nd, South Florence. 3rd, James Island. 4th, Irmo. 5th, South Point. Also receiving votes, Midland Valley. 4A, I feel like is a little more top heavy than maybe some other, classifications there. I like those first 2, 3 or so. After that, I'm not sure if those guys are at the same level. We'll see. But we said every week Northwestern is really good. John, you saw South Florence firsthand. They're really good as well. 4A has some really, really tough teams at the top.
Yeah, and the cool thing with 4A is, I think Northwestern and South Florence are certainly 1 and 2, but you look at James Island, how good they are. I don't know that we know how good Lucy Beckham is yet.
Exactly. That's another program.
Those two will face off in region play at some point. That's going to be a really fun ball game. You talk about South Point. They got as much talent as anybody in 4A. They're really, really good. I don't think anybody really wants to play Greenville. Despite what their record is, they are still very good.
I mean, you look at the team that beat Greenville. Westside didn't even get a vote from our poll last week. They're very good. I mean, Ridgeview's playing great football. We'll talk about that. If they win this week, they will certainly be up there. A team that is on fire in 4A, North Augusta. They are smoking guys right now. They got a big matchup against Midland Valley here to end the season. We'll find out a lot about them here in a few weeks. But
and nobody's beat Irmo yet.
Nobody's beat Irmo. Exactly right. Exactly right. Look back at 5A now. Somerville still in first place. All 3 first place votes. Burns in second. Hillcrest third. Gaffney fourth. And White Knoll in fifth. Could see shake up here. Obviously, Gaffney, big matchup against Spartanburg. White Knoll, big matchup against Dutch Fork. See how those 2 games turn out this week. But it's hard to not put Somerville at 1 right now with their record and what they've done compared to some of these other squads.
Yeah, White Knoll's obviously they're undefeated as well. But other than Somerville's been a little bit more tested. They got a little bit better resume than White Knoll to this point. But for me, Somerville's number 1 because they haven't had that. They haven't tripped up yet.
Yeah.
Everybody else in that top 5 or 2, 3, and 4, they've had that one blemish where Somerville just does not. Now 2, 3, and 4 have had a tougher schedule as well. But again, all this is going to work itself out once we get into in playoffs and it's winter go home at that point. But yeah, 5A is really fun because it's been a while since we thought about Dutch Fort, Gaffney, and and maybe Fort Dorchester, and then kind of everybody else. Now it's a shuffle.
I think
Gaffney's
so.
still in that mix. Fort Dorchester not in that top 5, but
they're very good.
At the end of the day, they're probably going to be right here in the mix. We'll see how good they are when they play Somerville. That'll be a big time game at the end of the regular season too.
Yeah, a couple comments from Chris. Says 4A has some dogs. Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun. 4A is gonna be great. Cody says Northwestern and Irmo. Does Irmo go upper or lower? I believe they might go upper.
Irmo
no, they go lower with
lower.
Ridgeview. Yeah. That could certainly be the final there in 4A Lower State. I like South Florence a lot, though, in Lower State, too. Don't forget about those guys there.
I don't know if Irmo's as good as South Florence.
Chris says take Gaffney all. They don't even rank with the underdog. I love it, man. I love it. The Indians are playing good football. Drew, any comments from you on these polls?
Oh, man. It's just difficult. Like you've said through the show, and we've talked about the last few weeks in 5A, it's like all the teams have flaws. So those are really hard. I think there's a clear number 1 in Somerville, even though their schedule kind of lacks. But they have taken care of everybody on the schedule. The rest of the teams, we've seen their flaws, got some losses and things like that. Then 4A, it's kind of like 3A, man. It's stacked up. It's very, very competitive there. So anybody could be up there. Really excited about it. But let's take a look at our SCISA poll. We did not unveil this last week.
Oh, yeah. SCISA poll. 4A.
Let's run through that real quick.
Huge matchups here. Hammond and Cardinal Newman going at each other this week in 4A. That'll be a great one. Also, Porter Goud and Lawrence Manning, I believe, are hooking up as well. So you get the top 4 playing each other. A lot of fun there. Been lipping in the 5th spot. 3A, Wilson Hall, Hilton Head Christian, Pinewood Prep, Florence Ridge, Northwood Academy in 3A. It's fun with think about SCISA that I do like. Obviously, fewer schools. So basically, you're going to play everybody in your class in the regular season. So you get a lot of big-time matchups that you will see again later on in the playoffs. So let's look now at the other ones there, Darrell. 2A, Williamsburg, Beaufort, Bethesda, Colin Prep, Greenwood Christian. Got Williamsburg and Beaufort getting after it this week. 1A, Patrick Henry, Thomas Hayward, Lee, Clarendon Hall, Dorchester Academy. And then 8-man, Jefferson Davis, Holly, Richmond, Warlaw, and Holy Trinity. Those will all be posted on our social media places tomorrow. So if you guys have any comments, feel free to leave them on there. Love to hear your thoughts on these SCISA polls as well. Drew, any other poll comments before we look at our Pick'em leaderboard here?
Let's get into Pick'em.
Perfect. Last week was tough for some folks, not tough for others. Coach T in first place with 10. Brad, Jamie, Richard, JB, TJ, Corey, Ryan, and PK all with 9. Dale, Shannon, Nathan, Daryl, Peyton, Andrew, and 12 more all with 8. John with 7, Drew with 6, and I had a perfect score of 11, guys.
When did you submit those picks?
I was seeing the board perfectly. Great week for me with an 11 spot there. But hats off to Coach T with the Big 10 there. That was a lot of fun.
I'm with John on that. This is the first week we've all been apart. When did you close this? We don't know. We didn't see it. Perfect score.
I am a man of integrity, guys. I can't believe y'all would do that to me.
Wow.
Yeah. Good week for me for sure. And overall, we have now dropped the lowest week in the score. So that is in there. We got a tie for first. Dale B and Chase H at 51. JD and Brad at 49. Carl 48. Shannon, Dallas, Nathan and Peyton. Jamie, Franklin, and Chris all at 47. Lance, Nick, Dale, James, and Brandon at 46. I've got 48. John and Drell at 45. Anybody's ball game still, folks. We got 4 weeks left. A lot of ground can be made up here. Going to be a lot of fun coming down the stretch. If you guys haven't done this, super fun. Even if you haven't done it yet, it's still fun to do it and get your scores. We'll do a new one for the playoffs in a couple weeks as well. Brought to you by Hanna Engineering, as always. Big thanks to our partners over there with those guys. So definitely check it out. It's on our Facebook page, our Twitter page, on our website. Definitely join our pick 'em. It's one of the funnest things that I feel like we do each week, guys.
I look forward to this every week because I kind of keep track of what it was, what I did during the week. But even, I have 7 and go, okay, well, is 7 a good score this week? Is it a bad score? I don't know.
Yeah.
I really look forward to it. I wish I was doing better, but that's my own fault.
Long way to go, Drew. Any comments on the polls or the pick 'em we need to make a shout out to?
Oh, yeah. Got a comment on our SCISA poll.
Alan says, boo, Richard went on top. Hey, Richard Wynn's playing tough. Had a tough loss a couple weeks ago. They're playing great football there. They will be right there at the end. Could certainly make a run to that state title matchup.
Yeah, I think that's all we got for right now.
Perfect. Well, I wanted to give a quick shout out to our players of the week, brought to you by Georgia Agency. We had Kayshawn Shumpert at Whitmire, Jaquel Holman at Blackfield Hilda, and then James Oates at Burns. All three had big games last week. As always, shoot us those stats if you see them on Friday or Saturday or Sunday. Send them to us on social media, email, whatever. Love to give those guys some shine. Even if we don't pick them as the 3 players of the week, we still give them a shout out on the recap shows. Definitely get them out there. We'll tag them on social media. Hopefully you guys will continue to send us all of that great stuff. And then Friday nights, we mention this every week. We do our Twitter/X Spaces about 10:30, 11 on Fridays. It's basically a scoreboard show. We'll run through all the scores from across the state. We have folks hop in who are at ball games, talk to us about those games. Love to hear from them. You guys are happy to hop in as well. We've got correspondence now almost from Clinton and from Strom Thurmond and from BHP, from Clover, from Burns, from Fort Dorchester. Got some guys down there. It's a lot of fun to have those folks hop in each week and talk to us about the games they were at. Really enjoy that. Hope you guys will keep hopping in there and joining along with us. Like I mentioned, always check us out on all social media. Chris says, where are we going? I don't know yet. There's some good options, looking at maybe Strom, Saluda, maybe Dutch Fork, White Knoll. We shall see. Try to make that decision tomorrow and get that post out there. Not sure exactly where we're going to be, but some good options, as always, across the state. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, etc. at Movin Chains. That's MOVINCHAINS. Website, movinchains.com. Our podcast on Apple, Spotify, Google, and more. We do our weekly recap show. Comes out on Sundays on the podcast platforms. Our live preview show we do on Tuesday night, 7 o'clock. Facebook and YouTube. Love to have you guys in here for that. As always, please share, like, subscribe, tell your friends. Love to have you do that. And if you guys don't follow us, maybe you follow us here and don't follow us on Twitter or Instagram, whatever, please follow us everywhere. We'll try to put out different content on each place. Hopefully you guys can join us on all of those and help us grow the brand. You saw the post there. We've got the merch now. We've got some hats, some nice Richardson hats. We've got some toboggans out there. We've got some hoodies, whatever the logo is, somewhere on here. Check it out. Get your merch, mtcgear.sc@gmail.com. It's posted on our social media. You can like it there and comment on there as well. Some great pictures of it. Love to have you guys supporting us and get some stuff with some Movin The Chains logos on it. Jarrell, any thoughts from you here before we give the final wrap for this week's show?
Another fantastic show, guys. I got nothing. I don't want to spoil it. Looking forward to this week, though. It's going to be a lot of fun on Friday.
It will be. Any final comments from the viewers we need to bring up and give a shout out to here?
Let me pull it up. Don't see anything. No, I think we're good. Let's roll.
Perfect. Right. Well, John, anything from you on this week 7 slate? A lot of good CONA games of the week. As always, if you guys missed it, you can go check out at the beginning of the show and get done here. We try to put the timestamps. You can do that. But any thoughts on this slate overall this week of football here, John?
I love we talk about getting into region play. It was first week for most schools last week. And we talk about, hey, this could be the region championship. Then we have some games this week. This could be the region championship. Yeah. We're going to have, like every week, we're going to have some upsets. We're going to have some games that went one way that we didn't think was going to go. And we're going to be right back here Tuesday. And we're going to go, well, this could be for the region championship.
Yeah.
Because, this team came alive last Friday, and it's going to be fun to see how it all unfolds. It's hard to predict, and that's what makes it so much fun.
And I tell you what, guys, it's getting to be real football weather here now. Getting a little bit of crisp in the air, a little bit chilly out there. Almost time to see some brown grass starting to come in there. It's playoff time when we see that there, guys. Too many fields have turf now. I don't like that. It's a sort of a different guy. I need the real grass. But, yeah, it's football weather now, man. It's take you a good hoodie for the boys to the game this week. It's what you should do. Take you a toboggan.
It gets cool in the fourth quarter now.
But, yeah, I'm excited to get out to another ball game, man. A great slate as always, man. Appreciate you guys for hanging out with us. It's a lot of fun. A lot of good comments. A lot of good banter back and forth. Always fun to hang out with the guys. Moving the Chains brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union. Support our great sponsors as much as you can. So for Jarrell Henderson, John Epps, I'm Kevin Thomas. This has been our Week 7 preview show, and we will talk to you guys soon.